Hey there, I'm Zimnoch, and in this episode, we're going to talk about how to address a bad home inspection. When buyers are out there looking at properties and purchasing a house, 99% of them, I would say, they will do a home inspection. And they should, because most buyers have no idea how to, not analyze, but determine if there's anything wrong with the house, right? That's not what their profession is. So they should hire a home inspector. And the home inspector's job is to find things wrong with the house, right? That is what they get paid for. Nothing wrong with it. And the main thing for the home inspector is to make the buyer aware of everything that is potentially going to go wrong soon, or maybe it's at the end of its life, right? Especially like, if it's a water heater or a heating unit, things like that, or roof. But also for things that could blindside a buyer once they actually purchase the house. So I am very pro home inspectors, and I advise every one of my buyers to get a home inspection. So what could happen in most cases is there will always, I would say, very rare, where there's no repairs requested from the buyer after they do their home inspection. Very rare, right? Even on new builds, okay? There's always something that the inspectors find that the buyer will ask for. So when we get the repair list or repair request, as we call it, a couple of things could happen. The seller can choose to repair those items. The seller can offer a credit, right, for those items, or the seller could say, no, sorry, we either agree that you're going to buy the property as is and you close the deal, or maybe the buyer doesn't buy the property and walks away because you don't agree on that, right? However, the challenge comes when, for realtors especially, when we work with investors, okay? Because when an investor has a rehab property, the buyers coming through the property, their perception, when they look at everything looks amazing and new and it's staged. The perception for them is, oh wow, this is like everything's brand new. The truth is that it's not, right? Usually the electrical is the same, the plumbing is the same. It's not like every investor or every rehabber guts the house, right? That's actually very rare, right? So what the buyer might see on the outside might not really translate to what they're thinking, right? As far as what was done to the property when it comes to the scope. So when the home inspector comes through on that type of a property and they find things, they might find certain items that the investor might not even know that they were, the way they are, right? That they should have been repaired to begin with. And that's exactly what happened in one of my recent sales that we did end up selling. However, before we ended up selling this house, we were in escrow, right? And a buyer comes in with their agent, their home inspector. They go through the house, and the inspector finds a particular plumbing. He looks at the plumbing, and the plumbing that was used in this particular house, the material for the plumbing, actually had a class action lawsuit against the company that made that plumbing material, right? Years ago. Doesn't mean that houses don't still have this plumbing. However, years ago when the class action lawsuit took place, the company got sued and offered money to the people that had that piping to replace it. Well, some people that maybe got the money, maybe didn't use the money to replace the piping, and they kept the money. Who knows? Regardless, this house that my investor actually rehabbed had this particular type of plumbing material. And it is not cheap to replace all plumbing in the property. And when the inspector pointed that out to the buyer, amongst other items the inspector found, right, including, unfortunately, a dead rat and actually a couple rats in the attic, the buyer got spooked. And this is a single woman that was looking to buy this property, right, for her, and I think she had one child. And she completely got spooked, right, with everything and the plumbing and the rats and this and that and the other little items. It was like a perfect storm, right? And canceled. The buyer canceled. So what do? I went to my client and I said, look, we have two choices. We can continue on, get another buyer. The challenge is we will have to disclose this inspection report to the next buyer. They're going to see all these things are wrong with the house. It will be probably challenging to find a buyer that will be excited about this property when I give them this home inspection. What I recommended was we should have you, my client, go through this list, see which items are the most important to address. Of course, the plumbing and maybe the rat. Let's clean those things out, right? And then let's get the inspector that did the home inspection for the other buyer that canceled, have them come back and re-inspect the property. That's usually a lot cheaper, right? And that's what we did. The client, thank goodness, agreed. We took the house off the market. They changed the plumbing. They addressed the other items that we thought were important on the inspection report. They cleaned up the rats, right? And we asked the home inspector to come back, re-inspect the property. It was only like $150 to re-inspect it. And then the home inspector gave us a cleaner report. Now then I used that clean report to show the next buyer. And that makes my job to sell the property much, much, much easier, right? And ultimately that's what the investor wants. They want to sell the house, right? They don't want to keep opening escrows and falling out of escrow, opening escrow, falling out of escrow. Like, no, that's going to waste a lot of time, a lot of money. Well, guess what? Next escrow, it was the smoothest escrow that we've had in a while. We gave them the home inspection report. They still did their own home inspection, but then when they saw this one, they were like, oh, this is amazing. It's a clean looking home inspection. And we closed, literally like a week ago, and everything went smooth. There was no issues that came up, and that's how we create a win-win.